Hello, Formula One fans all over the world. Yeah, I'm back again with another video. So basically, this is the race provisional clarification after 57 laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix, which is 308.238 kilometers. And then that's the provisional clarification. So this is the clarification that comes out after the race, and after this clarification is out, they check for any penalties or any protests. After they check for any penalties and any protests, they then bring out the full clarification. But I hope you can see the image above, and you can see the drivers' names, you can see the nationality, you can see the entrant, the team, and you can see the number of laps, the time they used to finish the race, and then the gap between the drivers, and then the intervals. Yeah, the intervals between the drivers, and the speed, the average speed, I think, which is kilometers an hour, and their fastest lap, each driver's fastest lap, and which is ON, which is the time they set their fastest lap, and then you got the number of points each driver gained. So we're gonna dive into it. So there's 20 drivers on the grid, and the race was won by Charles Leclerc in the Scuderia Ferrari. The number of laps he done was 57 laps. The time he used to finish the race was a 1 hour 37 minutes 33 seconds 0.584 thousandths of a second, and then the gap between Charles Leclerc and second place was 5.598 seconds, Carlos Sainz. So Carlos got a bit of work to do, as he said after the race, post-race, that Carlos said he has a bit of work to do to find some pace in the Ferrari. He said it never felt good all weekend, so he's got some catching up to do, but I'm sure Carlos can find some confidence in the braking and acceleration. He's probably not losing too much to Leclerc, probably just the aggressiveness in picking up the throttle where Carlos is losing out, I think, because Carlos is smooth on the power and Leclerc is more aggressive on the power. So the average speed of Charles was 189.568 kilometers an hour. His fastest lap was a 1:34, 1 minute 34 seconds 570. And then on lap 51 he set that time, so 6 laps from the race end. And the number of points he had was 26 points, because he got 25 points here for the race win, and he got 1 extra point for the fastest lap. So moving on to number 2, it was Carlos Sainz. The driver number is 55, and he's in a Scuderia Ferrari. Obviously his nationality is Spanish, and Leclerc is he's from Monaco. And yep, we know the number of laps. The time he finished was a 1 hour 37 minutes 39 seconds 0.128 thousandths of a second. So you have, the gap it was 5 seconds to Leclerc, and his fastest lap, his average kilometers an hour was 189.387. So just a few tenths faster than Leclerc, and his fastest lap was a 1:35.7, which was done on lap 52. He got 18 points. So Carlos got 18 points for his second place. I think that's good points for Carlos, If Ferrari are going to be fast this season and they're going to be able to close up with and keep up a championship charge, Carlos needs to score some points, If he can get third, fourth, or fifth until he have a couple of race wins put together and he can be in a championship fight towards the end of the year, I think that was a good result for Carlos. And in third position, you have Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team, and his nationality is British. And obviously, we know the number of laps completed, which is 57. And the time he completed the race in was a 1 hour 37 seconds. So Lewis's time where he took to finish the race was a 1 hour, 37 minutes, 43 seconds, and then 259 thousandths of a second. And the gap between him and the leader was 9.675 seconds. Considering the pit stops and the pace of the Mercedes, well, when I was studying the race, I was studying the Mercedes. The first few laps here, Lewis was struggling to brake. The Mercedes, it looked like it's hard to brake. Their problem was they couldn't gain time. They were losing about 0.3 of a second in the first 3 turns. So if they had that sorted, they could have fought for the race win. But it's okay. They can sort that out. It looks to me like Mercedes can't get the right temperature into the tires. It takes a bit of time to get the temperature into their tires. So after like 4 or 5 laps, I'm checking out the race and I'm seeing Lewis, driving a bit better, getting a bit faster, adjusting his driving style a little bit. So the Mercedes definitely picks up pace during the race, and it's been like that since they came in the after 2014. The car's always been designed in a way where they can pick up speed during the race, which is very important. And I think Red Bull was showing that kind of level of what's it called, speed last season as well. And the gap between Lewis and Carlos was 4 seconds. 4 seconds. So he only finished 4 seconds behind Carlos, and he could have found those 4 seconds. He could have found those 4 seconds. So Mercedes have some work to do, but they gotta get on top of things. I think they got tire temperature problems and they got braking problems. And the average speed was 100 for Lewis was 189.255 kilometers an hour, and the fastest lap of Lewis Hamilton was 1 minute 36 seconds point 28228, and that was on lap 53. He had his fastest lap. So Lewis had his fastest lap with about 4 laps to go, and he collected 15 points, and that's good points for Lewis as well. Like one thing I always remember about Lewis Hamilton when it comes to a world championship, bruv, it's like playing Mario Karts. You're gonna see Mario and Luigi all the way at the top. Mario and Luigi always like nearly finish 1 and 2. Sometimes the others come in, but Lewis is always up there, man. Like, he reminds me so much of Mario and Luigi. Like Mario and Luigi combined. And then yeah, so those 15 points are good for him. And obviously, don't forget there's a race coming this weekend in Saudi Arabia, and we all know what happened last year. So I want to touch on one thing, is that it should be an exciting Grand Prix, and it should be a great Grand Prix as well. So I'm looking forward to it. And moving on, you have in fourth position. So that the top three was Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and Lewis Hamilton. So that's the podium positions. And then in fourth position, you have George Russell, number 63, for the Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 team. He completed 57 laps. His race finish time was 1 hour, 37 minutes, 44 seconds, 0.795 thousandths of a second. And the gap was to the leader was 11.211 seconds. So I want to commend George on a good result here. It's his first race in the Mercedes, and he did very well. He only finished, the gap between him and third position was 1.536 seconds. So George really did well. And remember, there was a late safety car as well, so he bunched up the field. But they had a few laps to race, so George really did well. And George Russell is on Lewis Hamilton's tail, so Hamilton still has to keep his speed and his guy on his strength, that he doesn't let George just override him in the team. And then George's fastest speed was 189.206 kilometers an hour, slightly faster than Lewis. And then his fastest lap was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 302. And then that was on lap 56. So one lap towards the end, he got his fastest lap. And then George picked up 12 points, and that's very, very good points for George. And moving on to number 5, you have Kevin Magnussen, who just came back into Formula 1 after a long while. So he's driver number 20, Kevin Magnussen. He's Danish. He's from Denmark, yeah, and that's a Scandinavian country. And then you have the Haas F1 team, who stepped up in the first race. But Haas can have good performances, but sometimes they drop off performances, so they go keep up the performance and the development. Remember, other teams are gonna develop their car as well, so it's gonna be exciting this season. So after 57 laps, Kevin's time race finish was a 1 hour 37 minutes 48 seconds point 338 thousandths of a second, and you have the gap between Kevin and the leader was 14.754 seconds, which is not really bad for Haas. And the gap between George Russell in fourth position and Kevin Magnussen in fifth position was 3.543 seconds. Average speed kilometers an hour was 189.092 kilometers an hour. And you had his fastest lap came on lap 53 with a 136 1 minute 36 seconds 623, and then he picked up 10 points, so a very very good 10 points for Kevin Magnussen. So you have in the next light, you have Valtteri Bottas, who's moved to a new team, and he's done some good testing, and he's drives for the Alfa Romeo F1 team Olin. He's from Finland, and the number of laps was 57, and the time he used to finish the race was 1 hour 37 minutes 49 seconds point 703, and the gap was 16.119 seconds to Charles Leclerc in first. So he finished 16 seconds off the lead, which is not bad for the Alfa Romeo. Well, they used to getting good results anyway with Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, but they got a new team now. They got Valtteri Bottas and Guanyu, the Chinese driver. And the gap between Valtteri and Kevin was 1.3 seconds, 365 seconds, and his average speed was 189.048 kilometers an hour, and the fastest lap was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 599 on lap 53, and Valtteri picked up a cool 8 points. So that's a good first race for Valtteri. I'm sure he was very satisfied with that race. So you coming into seventh position, you have Esteban Ocon, number 31. He driving for BWT Alpine F1 team. After 57 laps, he finished in 1 hour 37 seconds. So 1 hour 37 minutes 53 seconds point 007 thousandths of a second, and the gap between him and the leader was 19.423 seconds, and the interval between him and Valtteri from 6 to 7 was 3.304 seconds. So which is an okay result for Esteban Ocon after he won the Hungarian Grand Prix last year in Budapest. Yep. So we're still on the Alpine, which is number 7, and you have his average speed was 188.941 kilometers an hour, and his fastest lap was a 1 minute 37 seconds point 110, and he had that on lap 53, and he picked up a cool 6 points. So that's a good result for Esteban. And yeah, next up is the Yuki Tsunoda, driver number 22. He drives for Scuderia AlphaTauri. He's a Japanese driver, number 50. After 57 laps, he finished with a 1 hour 37 minutes 53 seconds point 970. So the gap between him and the leader was 20 seconds, which is not bad. But remember, the field was bunched up towards the end. But yeah, and the gap between him and Esteban was just 0.0963. So 9 tenths of a second. So he could have overtook if there was 1 or 2 more laps, because he could have had the DRS. And then the kilometers an hour, the average speed was 188.910, which is not bad. 188.910, and his fastest lap was a 1 minute 37 seconds point 104, and that was on lap 53, and he picked up a cool 4 points. So that's a nice 4 points for Yuki after the struggles in his first season. And then in number 9, you got the Spanish giant Fernando Alonso for the BWT Alpine F1 team. So he got beat by his teammate. Fernando's very prideful with the teammate stuff. And after 57 laps, he had 1 hour. He finished in 1 hour 37 minutes 53 seconds. Sorry. 1 hour 37 minutes 55 seconds point 974, and the gap between him and the leader was 22 seconds, 22.390 seconds, and the gap between Fernando and Yuki was, so yeah, the gap between Yuki and Fernando in 8th and 9th was 2 seconds, 2 seconds. And the average speed of Fernando Alonso was 188.846 kilometers an hour. Fastest lap was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 733, and that was on lap 44, and Fernando collected 2 points. And in the 10th position, which is Zhu Jianyu, the new Chinese driver on the grid, driving for Alfa Romeo F1 Orlean. He finished 57 laps. The time he used to finish the race was a 1 hour 37 minutes 56 seconds point 648. And then the gap between Zhu Guanyu and Charles Leclerc was 23.064 seconds. The interval between Fernando Alonso and Zhu Guanyu was 0.674 seconds. So he had DRS as well in the last lap. So he could have overtook Fernando for that extra point. So yeah, good race for Zhu. You done well in your first race. Obviously, your teammate finishing 6th, you're 4 places behind, so which is not bad. He's a rookie, so we gotta give him some support, give him a pass as well. So average speed for number 10, Zhu Jianyu, was 188.824 kilometers an hour. And then his fastest lap was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 685, and that happened on lap 39, and he picked up 1 point, so which is a good result for him. Now we're moving on to number 11. You have Mick Schumacher in number 11. So from 11 to 19, they never scored no points, so because points are only shared to the top 10. So 11th, you have Mick Schumacher in the Haas F1 team. He finished 32 seconds behind the leader, and the gap between him and number 10 was 9.5 seconds. At one point during the safety car, he was running in like 7th or 8th, Mick Schumacher. So I don't know what happened to him, and he dropped out those points position. But he can take encouragement for that and come back stronger. The average speed of Mick Schumacher kilometers an hour was 188.519 kilometers an hour, and fastest lap was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 956, and that happened on lap 37. And in 12th position, you have Lance Stroll for the Canadian driver. He drives for the Aston Martin Aramco Cognizant F1 team, and he finished 45.873 seconds off the lead. Interval between him and Mick Schumacher was 13.299 seconds. I don't know what was wrong there. Obviously, it wasn't a great result for Lance Stroll, but he should bounce back stronger when Vettel gets back into the team, and he can get a few tips of Vettel as well. And then average speed was 100 for Lance Stroll was 188.094 kilometers an hour, and his fastest lap was on lap 49 with a 1 minute 37 seconds point 146. And then you have in 13th place for Williams Racing, you have Alexander Albon, and he finished 53 seconds off the lead, which is an improvement because Williams finished like a minute or two off the lead last season. So interval between him and Lance Stroll was 8.059 seconds. Average speed is 187.838 kilometers an hour, and then his fastest lap was a 1 minute 37 seconds point 355, and then that happened on lap 50. And then in 14th you had Daniel Ricciardo. For McLaren standards, they'll consider this a very, very poor result. Obviously, Daniel didn't have no testing, but in McLaren's eyes, this is a very, very poor result for them. And they'll be the first to admit it, but they'll be the first to admit they'll come back stronger. And remember, they won a race last year in Italy. Daniel Ricciardo won the Italian Grand Prix. So in 14th position, you have Daniel Ricciardo from Australia driving for the McLaren F1 team. After 57 laps, he finished the race in 1 hour 38 minutes 28 seconds point 559, and then the gap between him and the leader was 54.975 seconds, and he was only like 1.043 seconds off Alex Albon in 13th. So Daniel could have gained an extra place there with the DRS if there was a few more laps, but yeah, that's the clarification. And average speed of Daniel Ricciardo was 187.804 kilometers an hour, and the fastest lap of Daniel it came on lap 50 was 130. Sorry, it was a 1 minute 37 seconds point 261. In 15th, you have Lando Norris, McLaren F1 team, British driver. He finished 56 seconds off the lead. So it was 56.335 seconds off the lead. The gap between Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo was only 1.360 seconds. Because remember, Lando started in front of Daniel, so I don't know what happened. So I don't know what happened to Lando. I don't know what happened exactly to Lando and Daniel, but the McLaren is not some news I'm getting today from the Sky Sports. I saw something that's saying that Lando was saying that it doesn't have enough downforce, so it's got something to do with the engine, because the Mercedes engine was not too strong in Bahrain, so Mercedes have to make some adjustments as well. So it could be the engine, it could be the chassis, it could be the aerodynamics. They gotta find out. So looking at Lando Norris's result, yeah, his fastest lap kilometers, so his average speed was 187.761 kilometers an hour, and his fastest lap came on lap 51, which was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 988. In 16th position, you got Nicholas Latifi. He drives for Williams Racing, and he finished 61.795 seconds off the lead. In 16th, he finished 5.460 seconds behind Daniel, which is a big gap. You know what I'm saying? So average speed 187.588, and the fastest lap is 1 minute 38 seconds point 251, and that was on lap 51. So Nicholas Latifi, the one that had a crash here, and then he had a crash, and then that's how the safety car came out for last year in Abu Dhabi, and that's how it all went tits up from there, So Latifi got a lot of abuse, and they had to come and defend him and things like that. But yeah, it's okay, man. In 17th, you got Nico Hulkenberg. I mean, it was a short notice for Nico because Vettel managed to catch COVID, so Nico had to jump in, and he had some good practice sessions, but ultimately these cars are new, and you can't just jump in a new regulation car and just go fast. You gotta have some kind of practice. So after 57 laps, the time it took Nico Hulkenberg to finish the race was 1 hour 38 minutes 37 seconds point 413. He finished 63.829 seconds off the lead, and he finished 2 seconds behind Nicholas Latifi, and his average speed was 187.523 kilometers an hour, and his fastest lap was 1 minute 38 seconds point 201, and he had that on lap 49. So now so we done position 1 to position 17. So you have position 18, which is Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez. In the last few laps, Sergio was running in third position. When Max Verstappen had his problems, they told Sergio, you might have the same problem as well. And when Sergio braked into the first corner, the engine just cut out on him. But it was the pressure from Lewis Hamilton that could have forced him into that mistake. And sometimes when you drop the clutch and you drop the accelerator, the car might shut down itself. Or when the car spins, so obviously the car's programmed here. So if it goes through some kind of elevation or some kind of off the ground kind of vibes, the car will turn off. So the car just turned off on him. And Red Bull have reliability problems, which is very, very bad for them. And they're gonna struggle to fix it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just gonna be a quick fix, because these first few races, everyone's gunning for it. And then, so Sergio only completed 56 laps, and he had his time was a 1 hour 36 minutes 5 seconds point 525 thousandths of a second, and his clarification is DNF. He did not finish the race. He stole the car on the track in like the last lap. Like coming into the last lap, he stole the car on the track, and the average speed of the Red Bull was 189.084 kilometers an hour. So Red Bull got some speed on the straights. We can't really deny that. And his fastest lap was a 1 minute 36 seconds point 089, and that was on lap 52. And coming to position 19 is the so-called world champion Max Verstappen, driving for Oracle Red Bull Racing from the Netherlands. He only made 54 laps, so there was about 3 laps to go, and Max overheated his car early. He was reporting problems, steering problems, he had brake problems, and he had traction problems, and he had power problems, yeah. And he had a fuel problem. So Max had about 5 or 6 problems. In the race. So he was fighting the car from the beginning. So your driving style, Max, is gonna hurt you because these cars are fragile, So, and you're very, very aggressive. So you gotta know what you're doing. And Max's time was a 1 hour 33 minutes 17 seconds and 0.696, and the clarification is a DNF, did not finish, so he scored 0 points as well. Fastest average speed kilometers an hour is 187.792, and the fastest lap was a 1 minute 35 seconds point 440, and that was on lap 51. So Max didn't have too great of a pace. He kept up with Charles in the first few laps, but I realized that he was burning up his car from early, And you know what happened to Max as well? When he realized that he had no battery left here, when he realized that he had no battery left to defend against Carlos, Lewis, and George, he went into the pits. He quit. Even the team told him, listen, you can manage the car. They told him you can manage the car. You know what I'm saying? They started telling him, listen, you know where we are, bro. If you don't want to finish the race, come in. Because he was throwing tantrums, you know. He just got frustrated that Charles was just playing with him, you know, Charles Leclerc. Because they know each other from young, innit? Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. They've been racing from young. They have so many controversial incidents. Even if you go on YouTube, you could type it in, you'll see. So the world champion did not finish the race, and you know they got a lot of hate for that as well. Cause remember, we just finished the controversial Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and yeah, that was what's it called? That was too much to handle, you know. And then it says not classified in number 10, Pierre Gasly, Scuderia AlphaTauri, not classified, which was lap 44. He did not finish, and yeah, he did not finish. Fastest lap 1 minute 37 seconds, .324. And then the fastest lap of the whole race went to Charles Leclerc, the Monegasque from Monaco in the Scuderia Ferrari. He had a 1 minute 34 seconds, .570 on lap 51. And the average kilometers an hour on lap 51 for Charles Leclerc was a 206.018 kilometers an hour, which is very, very, very impressive, you know. So Ferrari looked like they got a good engine. And remember, if you like the page, if you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share, so the video can go around and people learn more of the moral motor racing. So Charles did very well. He was the winner of the day. And yeah, on to the next one. I'm looking forward to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix this weekend. It should be exciting. So yeah. Make sure you comment, subscribe, like, and share, you know. And then one more thing I want to add. Don't forget the engine rules have been frozen for 4 more years to 2025. So whoever's having engine problems, man, you're gonna have to make some adjustments. You can make minor tweaks, but not major tweaks, you know. So yeah, on to the next one. It was a good race. It was a good race. Well, Verstappen made it exciting with his battle with Leclerc, and you know, in the midfield there was a few battles. You know, I was impressed with Kevin Magnussen. I was impressed with Zhu Jianyu. Yeah, I was impressed with a few drivers. You know, George Russell did well. I was impressed with Carlos Sainz. You know what I'm saying? So it was a really, really great Grand Prix. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Make sure you tune in. And the championship is just hotting up. But I'm going to bring you my prediction. But I still feel like the Ferrari boys are going to stay on top for now. And Charles Leclerc is very good on street circuits. Remember, Singapore 2019 as well.